Hey guys.
Hey!
Happy Tuesday. This is the second Diablo 4 developer livestream. My name is Adam Fletcher. I'm the community lead for the Diablo franchise, and I'm joined here by three wonderful guests. We have Meng Song, who is our lead system designer on Diablo 4. Of course, we got Art Peshkov, who is our lead world designer on Diablo 4. And everyone knows Joe Shelley, game director, Diablo 4. We're all here to talk about a lot of stuff actually today about Diablo 4. But I did want to throw out this fun fact because amongst these three gentlemen right here, we have 52 and a half years of experience here at Blizzard in terms of tenure, which is absolutely crazy. And I do want to ask, of course, for all of you guys, what is the first Blizzard title each of you worked on? I'll start with Mom.
I started working on Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, making multiplayer maps.
That's crazy. I was in college playing Warcraft 3, so yeah. Joe, yourself?
I started on World of Warcraft Burning Crusade.
Burning Crusade.
Burning
over here.
Crusade.
The first thing I worked on was the Curator in Karazhan.
Nice. That was in
He's
the last
responsible
season
for
of
Curator.
Shadowlands and Mythic Plus. They brought back, I know, Karazhan and so forth. So, and then Art.
I started on World of Warcraft, the original. I was a QA analyst.
What you guys actually did just see during the countdown right before the stream was our intro cinematic for Diablo 4. That was actually revealed during the IGN FanFest broadcast earlier this month.
Yeah.
What's cool is that it was completely done in engine, and so you as a player can now essentially have your character that you create in Diablo 4 appear in all the in-game cinematics, which is really, really cool and something kind of unique within the game.
That's right. Yeah, it's so we put so much more work into making the story immersive. We asked our engineers to make sure that we could show our in-engine IDCs with really high quality, and also showing off the character that you've customized.
And that's the really cool part about Diablo 4. This is kind of like the first Diablo game, heavy customization. I mean, Diablo Immortal also had that as well, but Diablo 4 is like on a really crazy level as well. So it's going to be really cool to see everyone's characters in different cinematics and so forth as you're kind of playing through the game. But we do have a pretty much a packed show to actually kind of go through today. We're going to be giving extra information about the beta and what players are actually going to be experiencing. There's a lot of information we haven't talked about regarding beta that we will be talking about today. Meng is actually going to go over some armor systems in Diablo 4. We have a lot of people that have been asking about system-specific details within Diablo 4, and armor is incredibly important. And so we've got a lot of numbers and graphs to talk about today regarding that. And then Art is going to talk about essentially a new feature for Diablo, which is the Stronghold system within Diablo 4. So a lot to talk about. One quick thing that we did want to call out really quickly, which is the Inaria statue, which is behind me, as I'm like trying to
Dude, I kind of want to get it, but I don't have room.
My hands here. But the Inaria statue, this was announced earlier this month. And we ended up actually putting this up on the gear store. And what's cool about this statue is that it is actually shipping right now. So if you, unlike the Lilith statue, which I know took like a few months to actually ship when that was announced, this one is shipping immediately. So it's really cool looking. Thing is massive. Pairs really well with Lilith. You can have mom and dad there. It's great, you know. I've seen pictures on Reddit of people putting it like side by side, and like some people already have the Inari
another
statue
little
and they have
sales
it, like
pitch.
side by side on their TVs.
I mean,
in
you
their living
gotta,
rooms,
you
so
know,
it's
you gotta
actually
do what you gotta
really
do.
cool to see.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, there should be a QR code, I think, up on the screen now. So if you do actually scan the QR code, it does take you to the gear store and to the page.
How
to
much
check
is
it
it?
out.
The statue?
But beta. Beta is a big topic.
Beta's
Beta's
why we're
coming
here.
up. So we do want to actually talk a lot about beta itself. As you guys know, we did already announce the beta dates earlier this month. So for beta itself, it's actually going to be, we'll have an early access weekend, and then we'll have an open beta weekend. So early access is going to be on March 17th. We'll start on March 17th. And we actually have times of when it's going to actually start that weekend.
Yeah.
So we are planning on opening up servers at 9 a.m. Pacific on March 17th for early access. and it'll actually go through March 20th until noon Pacific time. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a more of an opportunity beyond just the weekend, because obviously time zones exist.
Time zones. We know people work on Saturdays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it gives you at least a little bit more flexibility, being able to try it out all throughout Friday and Saturday, and even into Monday, depending on where you actually live. The other really cool part about the first weekend of beta is that there will be 3 classes available for players to actually check out, and that is the Barbarian, the Rogue, and the Sorcerer.
What?
So players can actually jump into beta itself during that first weekend and try it out. Remember, early access beta is only available to those that actually pre-order. So if you haven't pre-ordered and want to jump in earlier, you most definitely can.
Yeah.
And then for open beta on March 24th through 26th, those will start at the same times as well. And that's at 9 a.m. Pacific. And
Where's the
on the
Necro
24th,
Lord?
and then end on the 26th or on the 27th.
Where's the Necro Lord?
At noon, so it does go a little bit longer. Again, time zones. So it gives a little bit more of a time for people to jump in. And a special thing about that second weekend is?
Well, you'll get access to 2 additional classes. So you can play all 5 classes, which is important to us because the second weekend in
I'm a
particular,
little bit
we want to get
sad,
as many
bro. I was
people
planning on doing
as
Necro
possible
stuff
onto the servers. We
both
want to stress
weekends.
test the game to make sure that all of our server infrastructure is in good shape for launch, and we want to get feedback on balance. So we want to have all the classes available so everyone can check out the balance, and we can make changes ahead of launch if there are problems.
Exactly. So again, during the early access beta, you'll be able to play Barbarian, Rogue, and Sorcerer. And then during open beta, you can play Barbarian, Rogue, and Sorcerer, but you can also play the Necromancer and the Druid.
That's right.
So it's a good opportunity to kind of jump in, and as Joe mentioned, stress test the servers. Speaking of stress testing the servers, and so we can get feedback and so forth before launch, there is another feature within beta that we're really excited to share about, which is world bosses. Right. We do have a world boss that will be active during beta, and there will be 4 different spawns on each Saturday of beta for players to kind of jump into and check out. And it's Shava, who is people probably remember Shava. Shava is the first world boss, I believe we ended up revealing back in BlizzCon 2019 and so forth.
One of our 3 world bosses.
Yeah, so players will be able to jump in.
All right.
There's going to be 4 different times, like I mentioned, because, again, we want to make sure that players from all around the world can actually jump in during beta during these moments. And it gives an opportunity for people to kind of experience like a whole new thing within Diablo 4.
Yeah, Shava's so cool. One of the really cool things about the world bosses is you can just show up there. There'll be other people for you to work together to defeat the boss. And these are huge bosses. The camera actually pulls out so you can get a better view of the battlefield. So you can see other people fighting the world boss at the same time. They have huge attacks that affect a very large area of the
We're going to play every
world.
class pretty much. I'm going to do a playthrough of every
you just
class
show
there
up
is.
there and there'll be people. You don't have to have a group or organize anything in particular. You can just show up, fight a giant boss. It's super cool.
Yeah, and so world bosses up to 12 players can actually go against a world boss within Diablo 4. And I know it's recommended usually to be 20. The 25 is the max level within beta itself.
Yes. And Shava's level 25.
There we go.
You're going to want to be close to that level because, if you're fighting a higher level boss or higher level monster, you're going to be less effective. And we're actually going to talk about that in a little bit when we talk about armor.
25 is low,
That's a perfect opportunity for us to talk a little bit more about armor and so forth there. But yeah, the 4 different times and all the details and so forth and times that we just mentioned will actually be available on the beta blog that we do actually have up on Diablo4.com. So if people read that blog when we made the announcement,
that's going to allow me to level every class to 25 during the beta
after this stream,
and then we'll be able to post that
so
and
make
record
sure
that
to check
and
out
share
and
that.
reference that blog for all the details and times and so forth that we kind of mentioned here.
That's right. And if you're trying to get early access, you can pre-order the game like right up until or even during the early access period, and you'll get access to it.
Awesome. That's
We
really
expect
good
to have
hear.
a turnaround time of minutes
Microtransaction
to
are going to
the
be
most, it
skins,
should be an
no
hour or so
hemoglobin.
to get access.
Cool. And then a really popular question that we've gotten from the community is min specs and recommended specs. And I do want to note, if you're playing on console, on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, or Xbox One or Xbox Series consoles, that is also available for beta. So players will be able to actually jump in during beta on those consoles. But for PC, we actually do have those min specs and those recommended specs that we can showcase here really quickly for everyone.
Min
I think
spec.
a huge shout out to our engineers here, because in Blizzard fashion, they've done a fantastic job at optimizing Diablo 4 to ensure that as many players as possible can actually enjoy this on PC, which is great to see.
You need
Yeah,
broadband
we're
internet
continuing to optimize
connection,
right
chat.
now. As you said,
Need internet.
like every Blizzard game, we want to make sure as many people as possible can play it.
Yeah, and I know we've gotten another big question regarding like PC specs and so forth, and one of them is revolved around like ray tracing and everything like that.
That's right. Ray tracing will be coming after launch.
Yeah, so we'll have ray tracing available after launch for
Ray
Diablo 4
tracing
specifically
after.
on that side. We'll have these min specs and these recommended specs also available on the beta blog after the broadcast here, but a lot of people will be able to jump in with their PCs or on consoles and actually play Diablo 4 during the beta. Preload is another big popular question that we've done. There will be a preload available for the beta for Diablo 4, and that will actually be coming about a week or so before the actual beta. And details on that will also be posted soon on the blog, so make sure to stay tuned to like Diablo social channels, and at the same time, just checking out the blog. We'll make sure to let people know when preload will be available, so you can be prepared and you can jump in right during the first minute of early access. And
I'm
so
pretty
forth.
sure there is controller support.
And then
Neil.
another note about consoles is that you will be able to play couch co-op on consoles,
Yes,
which
that's
is
right.
really cool. So if you're playing on PlayStation or on Xbox, you can have another person join you and play on and do couch co-op, which is really cool for Diablo 4 and for that Diablo experience itself. And one thing to note is that you just need access to the beta, and the second person will just both people need access to a Battle.net account of some sort to be able to experience couch co-op.
Each person will need a Battle.net account. That's
Exactly.
Oh.
You can create up to 10 characters per BNet account up for the beta, so you can actually experiment and try, like, if you want to go through the beginning again or something with like a whole new character or whatnot, you most definitely can.
It's a lot of. I don't know how anyone could really have to.
Maybe you're
You
indecisive.
could create 10 different characters, but there's so much content in the beta. It's a really sizable look at the
Yeah.
world.
And
Nice.
I know a lot of people ask about progress between early access and open beta, and like how that actually does carry over and so forth, or if it does carry over specifically from that end.
Yeah, so your progress will carry over from early access to open beta. So that'll give you more time to really get to level 25, time to fight a Shava if you didn't get access, if you didn't quite make it, and more time to fight it. You could go back and fight a Shava. You can check out all of our side quests, all of the rest of the content in Fracture Peaks. There's, like I said, it's one of our 5 zones. And it's just a huge area to explore with so much content in it that
Man, I'm so
there's
excited.
plenty of stuff to do.
Please give me the
But
content.
of course, your progress is not going to carry over to the shipping game because we want everyone to start fresh.
Exactly. So yeah, progress carries over from early access to open beta, and then of course beta progress won't carry over to the final game itself. But one thing we did want to announce, at least today, is that we actually do have some beta incentives and rewards for players that actually do partake in the actual beta test. There's 3 different rewards that people can actually earn. 2 of them are specific titles that will carry over to the final game. And all these rewards actually do carry over to the final game. That's why it's so important for us to ensure that you guys have Battle.net accounts when you're actually playing through the game and so forth. But the first title is, the title itself is called Initial Casualty, which is earned when you reach Kiovashad within the game. And I'm sure people are like, what's Kiovashad?
Well, Kyovashad's the capital city of Fracture Peaks, which is the area, the snowy, mountainous area of Sanctuary that the beta takes place in.
Okay, at least they didn't tie it to the world boss.
It's a big city. There's lots of stuff to do. It's not that far into the game. You'll play through the prologue, get accustomed to all of the mechanics and everything, start to
I need the title.
some of the characters, and then you'll arrive at
I'm gonna
Kyovashad.
FOMO for D4.
Should be
chat.
fairly straightforward to get this one.
Yeah, so people will be able to earn the initial casualty title within Diablo 4 by doing that. And then another title that they'll earn once they hit level 20 on at least just one character itself is an early Voyager title. So just get up to level 20 within the beta and you'll actually end up earning that title. And then last but not least, we actually have a really, I'm very excited about this one. It is a cosmetic reward that we are giving away to any player that does get that gets one character up to level 20, and it is a beta wolf pack. It's a cosmetic. It is quite possibly the most adorable thing in the whole entire world.
No fucking way.
It is a little wolf like pack that you can actually carry around within the game. And itself, it's animated, does move around. It's absolutely adorable. I mean, you can be slaying demons with the cutest little pup behind you, which is absolutely.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm
Dude.
serious about it. So,
It's super cute. We're showing it on the Barbarian here, of course, but it's wearable by any class, so.
you don't need a
get to
pre-order
level
because
20.
there's
It'll
an
take some
open
time.
beta.
It's going to take some effort.
Everybody's going to be able to get it for free.
You can get this little pup who will follow you on your travels.
It's awesome. So yeah, this will carry over to the final game, and it is for all classes. So
It's only level 20, so it's not going to take that long.
And you'll get.
It's going to take like an hour.
One,
You'll be
the
done.
early Voyager title, and two, you'll get the beta wolf pack. So make sure to jump into beta and actually get a character to 20, so you can have your own wolf pack for launch itself. So there's a ton of that. I know we just gave out a ton of information about beta here today. Again, this will all be on our beta blog on Diablo4.com immediately after the stream. So make sure to check out all the details and the times and all the
20 is like an
requirements,
hour
for
or
instance,
something.
to get those
I think.
titles and
Maybe
the
2.
beta wolf pack itself. Oh, and one last thing, I completely forgot. During beta, we actually have another live stream planned, and that is going to be on the 24th. It'll be the first day of open beta, but we're going to do a community play live stream, so it gives you guys an opportunity to actually play with the Blues, essentially, the employees here at Blizzard, some people from the dev team and the community team. Again, more details on that here coming really soon. So lots of information about beta. Glad we got to showcase and talk about it all here today. We're going to jump into the armor systems discussion here with Meng now.
Because they all have
and
different
I know
topics,
that,
so they
the
haven't been all
community's really
addressed.
asking, especially our hardcore fans of Diablo, have been asking more details about systems and so forth. So we actually do want to jump into a little bit of a deep dive into the armor systems within Diablo 4. So Meng, take us through it.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to talk about the armor system. So in Diablo 4, armor is the major way for player to mitigate incoming damage, especially physical damage. The major way for people to acquire armor is through the 5 armor slots. They are helm, chest, pants, boots, and gloves. And mostly for fantasy reason, we made armor, chest armor, and pants provide the most armor value,
Okay,
while
makes
boots
sense.
and gloves provide the smallest amount of armor value. The armor value on an item is depends on the item's power. And in Diablo, we use the item power value to represent the power of the item.
Okay, so they use
I don't think
item
we've
level.
talked a lot about how item power works. Can you describe what it means for Diablo 4?
Yeah, so in Diablo 4, the item when they start dropping, it's based on the monster's power, and we need a value to represent how powerful this is. Like when you start getting more challenging content in the later world tier, you'll see you'll get more and more powerful item, and we need something to to evaluate that, then represent that power. So we use the item power to represent that power, and you can see that on the items tooltip. And if you you can compare the two items. If one item has a higher item power, that means that item most likely going to be more powerful than the lower item power item.
But not always, right?
Not
there
always.
might be specific affixes or things that are especially powerful for your build.
Yeah, exactly. And back to the armor value. The armor value actually directly tied to this item power on those armor items. It's actually scaling linearly with those item power. The higher the item power, the more armor value that item provides.
And that's so that we know that we have some baseline for how much damage mitigation the player has.
Exactly. Because of this, when you loot higher power items, you naturally gain higher amount of armor. And therefore, it's guaranteed you always have a certain amount of damage mitigation against physical damage.
And so, so armor works differently in
That's
Diablo
actually
4
than
it
Diablo
did in
3.
Diablo 3, right?
Yeah.
In particular for elemental resistances.
Yeah, exactly. Like in Diablo 4, this is kind of like a long story. Like we because of the mechanic, we made sure the item, the player have a certain amount of damage mitigation against the physical damage. But then we found out some monster they are doing non-physical damage, and that causes trouble for the player. Like for example, there's a dungeon boss only deal shadow damage, and that caused some serious balance problem for the encounter team, because for people who have a reasonable amount of shadow resistance, that boss is not that hard. But some people, like when they have zero shadow resistance, the boss is
Shadow is a
almost
new element,
unbeatable.
too.
Like, they will always get one shot for this boss.
And players at low level,
Yeah, this is in game.
they might not have access
This is
to
in-game
as much
model.
shadow resistance. They might not be as
Exactly.
familiar with the game.
Exactly. So to solve this problem, what we did is we made some change to the armor system. So armor not only absorb or mitigate incoming
Barbarian
physical damage,
can have up to
we
like
also
7 weapons.
make
It's really cool.
it absorb a certain amount of non-physical
Dude,
damage.
Druid can be chubby.
So how it
man.
works
Fuck
is
yeah.
like this. For whatever percentage the armor absorbs physical damage, it also absorbs half of that amount of
this is
non-physical
good.
damage. For example, your armor absorbs 60% physical damage. So your armor will also absorb 30% of all the non-physical damage.
Dude, look
Fire
at that
damage,
helm.
shadow damage, and so on.
Exactly. And because of this, people now also gain some amount of, not a big amount, but some amount of mitigation against non-physical damage. So that shadow boss is still challenging for people with zero shadow resistance, but it's in a much more controllable way.
Is that a
And
fucking
as players
totem?
level
Is
up
that a
and they get access to higher
no
world tiers,
way?
those
Shit,
world
we
tiers
might play
actually,
Druid, Jet.
Have a penalty to
Bro,
your
I'm
elemental
100%
resistances, right?
maining
So you're gonna have
Necro
to
Druid.
Really make sure that you're keeping up on those resistances.
Yeah, exactly. When you get to higher world tier,
I don't think you're gonna be able to play a fat rogue.
I
think the chubby model is only for Druid.
for the player to make the higher world tier more challenging. And so you will have we put some 20% penalty from world tier 2 to world tier 3 for the resistance. So you gain 20% less resistance. And from world tier 3 to world tier 4, we put even higher penalty. It's 40%. So world tier 4 will be a lot more challenging than world tier 3.
But players have access, as they're getting up into those higher levels, they're also getting access to more sources of elemental resistance, right?
Yeah, exactly. We added the elemental resistance into various in-game system, like a skill tree, like item affixes, like a paragon system. You can acquire those resistance through more and more ways. We actually expose more and more ways for you to be able to acquire armor.
Did you
and
say
resistance
Paragon system?
at the in-game.
Was that confirmed
So I
already?
think you brought some charts to show, like in more detail, how the mitigation works.
Sure. So you need to like find a way to mitigate that the more damage. Some people they build up their offensive power. They try to finish the combat faster so that they can take less damage. While other people they find all the way like we said, going through Paragon system, skill tree, item affixes. And legendary power.
There's a lot of things to consider when gearing up.
To mitigate that.
I like that damage mitigation is simplified.
We also added damage mitigation to monsters in Diablo 4, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to talk about. So we used to not have a damage mitigation for monsters. So monsters used to not have armor. So however amount the damage player deals, that's however amount of damage the monster gonna take. So it has an advantage. It's pretty straightforward. It's really easy to understand. But it also has a problem that is whenever we want to increase the monster's defense power, the only way we can do it is through increasing the monster's hit point. Like we say, from level 31, a monster from level 31 to 32, we want to increase their defense power, the time to kill by 10%. That means level 32 monster gonna have 10% more hit point or life than the level 31 monster. If you do this from level 1 to level 100, and at the end, it ends up with a super big number, like billions or even trillions. And for player to be able to kill this monster in a reasonable time, the player needs to deal like billions of damage.
Yeah, pretty much the issue we're having right now with Diablo 3.
We show this damage number as a floating combat text. We cannot hide it. And so because the number is so big, so long, it covers a big chunk of the screen.
Yeah, it's hard to understand too. Reading, combat in Diablo is really fast. You want to be able to quickly understand how much damage you're doing.
Yeah.
And we're trying to keep the numbers down.
Yeah. We try to solve this problem. Also, we get a lot of feedback from community. They also don't like this.
I know the community has talked a lot about like big damage numbers and so forth, and like Diablo 3, for instance.
Yeah, Diablo 3 had that problem.
Yeah, so therefore we decided to add this damage mitigation, or we call it monster armor. So at each level, monster actually absorb a certain percentage of players' damage. It's pretty low at the early level, and it goes up at a later level. Then in our playtest, it creates a different problem because this damage reduction going up pretty fast. Player actually deal less damage when they level up. That's not what we want.
I don't want to get weaker when I level up.
Yeah,
that's what I was...
Exactly. So we have to take the damage reduction number for the monster so that it always scales slower compared to the damage increase. Damage increase for the player. So it's player's damage deal to the monster still increase from level to level, but now we have a pretty good way to control how fast it increases. And therefore we get the damage number at a very late game into a pretty reasonable space.
That's good.
That's
nice. Awesome. Well, I know we talked a lot about the armor systems here, and even just like the fact that like monsters themselves will have armor, which is new for Diablo in itself. But I do want to spend some time to talk a little bit about Strongholds because
that's
we have
pretty
Art
cool.
here, who's our lead world designer.
The sounds aren't
Art,
working,
I know,
Chet, by the way.
has been focusing on
They're all
Strongholds
disabled.
and has
They don't
a lot
work.
to talk about. Strongholds themselves is a brand new feature within Diablo 4.
Yeah, absolutely. So conceptually, Strongholds, they are places of importance to the world and the people of Sanctuary that have been overrun by evil. Pretty simple, right? So the way this ends up working in practice is as you're exploring and navigating the huge world of Diablo 4 in Sanctuary, there will be multiple strongholds in each of our 5 zones for you to discover. And these are completely unique. So each stronghold is a unique location. They have different stories. They have different gameplay objectives, bosses. Even some of the rewards are unique to each specific stronghold. So much like our campaign, these are private experiences. They're just for you or you and your party if you choose to bring some friends. So once you've completed the stronghold, then the space becomes something that we refer to as a public space, where you then might encounter and interact with other players if you want.
That's cool. So, like, what type of spaces can strongholds themselves end up kind of like changing to after you end up encountering them and maybe like conquering them or going through them yourself?
Yeah, so that's like actually one of the things that I'm most excited to talk about the system is that when you conquer a stronghold, there's a lasting impact on the world, and we actually unlock a bunch of additional content for you to explore and engage with after the fact. But I think I want to talk about that a little bit later.
All right. I think we have footage as well for the strongholds that we can actually like kind of throw up here.
Can we see
Maybe
how
you
much
can explain, like,
armor
what players are
strongholds have?
kind of experiencing, or like what they would experience when they're going through strongholds?
You brought a clip?
Yeah, I did. I found it.
Nice.
I found a clip on the floor.
Found a clip.
The stronghold you're looking at here, this is called Hope's Light. In the jagged shores of northern Scotland,
Dude, the light,
there's
man.
this great lighthouse called Hope's Light, and its flame has been extinguished. The port town of Merwin nearby is particularly affected. It's the only port town in all of Scotland. They consider this a sacred place, and obviously the sailors of these perilous waters, they kind of rely on the lighthouse to navigate. So your kind of high-level objective is to just find a path through to the lighthouse and figure out what happened. As the player, when you arrive there, you notice the Drown have risen. The Drown are this brand new monster family in Diablo 4. They're these super mysterious creatures that kind of shamble up onto the shores from the depths of the sea. And they drag these like bells and mysterious idols with them. Nobody really knows like who they are or what they want. But one of the other things that we're super excited to kind of do with Strongholds is to try and showcase these monster families, kind of give you a glimpse into what they're about.
Yeah, because I know, like, back during BlizzCon, we actually, BlizzCon 2019, when we revealed Diablo 4, we actually did showcase the Drown for the first time. And then since then, I know we had a quarterly update blog that talked a little bit about monster families, where we even talked about, like, familiars, for instance, and so
Take
forth
the potion!
that were up there.
Take the potion!
Like, yeah, this is kind of like the first, like, updated look I think people are seeing of the Drowned here in a stronghold, which is really cool to see.
Oh, legendary.
Yeah.
Oh shit, Lego!
Knew what it was because I was playing with the UI off. So.
Load it before you DC.
But actually, that might be going back to kind of strongholds at the system level, and kind of like why you, the player, might care. Strongholds, they provide you with a lot of really awesome rewards. Obviously, you slay a bunch of monsters, you kill a boss, you're going to get a bunch of XP and loot. Beyond that, Strongholds also reward you with a high amount of Renown. Renown is another new system in Diablo 4. And just to quickly summarize that, Renown, it rewards you with engaging with various open world activities. You gain Renown in each of the 5 regions of the game.
He didn't
and
pick
when
the
you get certain
Lego!
milestones of Renown, you'll get rewards. You'll get really cool stuff like additional potion charges, skill points, even Paragon points at the later milestones. Beyond all this, like strictly, gold, XP, loot, Renown, beyond all this strictly character progression stuff, I mentioned before, conquering a stronghold has a lasting impact on the world and unlocks a bunch of additional content. When you've completed a stronghold, and in some cases you've kind of cleansed the evil as much as it can be in a world like Sanctuary, people feel safe enough to come back, and so some strongholds will actually become towns after. They'll have vendors, waypoints.
Dude,
Other strongholds might unlock a shortcut path to a different area, a waypoint, side quests. Many strongholds actually unlock dungeons. So, if you are hunting for aspects in the Codex of Power, or you're engaging with the Whispers of the Dead or Nightmare Dungeons endgame systems, you're probably
Man, Barbarian looks dope.
That's awesome. So yeah, just like the last stream we had, we talked a little bit about the Codex of Power. So obviously going through dungeons ends up unlocking or finding new codexes. Actually completing strongholds will unlock new dungeons that will let you get more codex or more powers within your codex itself. So,
It looks snappy. I like it. It looks like,
more,
you know,
especially with Strongholds itself. That's awesome, and the fact that it's a lasting impact on the world is pretty crazy. Can you see Strongholds like on the map, like as you're kind of like traversing through Sanctuary? And
Yeah, absolutely. Just so like any other area of the game, it starts as kind of undiscovered space, and then once you've discovered it, they show up on the map. They have some iconography to let you know that, hey, there's a cool piece of content for you to go do here.
Nice. And players themselves will see tons of these all throughout, all of, like as Sanctuary that they can actually either maybe like do a little bit later or come back to and so forth from that side.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there's multiple strongholds in every region, and one of the strongholds
it looks
actually
so
have
alive.
like a minimum level.
You know what I'm
so
saying?
you
Like
might
I
actually,
love the light.
Discover one that you're just under leveled for. There's nothing stopping you from trying to take it on, but you're probably gonna die.
Unless you're playing hardcore, and then you
Well,
probably
then you
don't.
then you make a new character because you died.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you question it a little bit. Yeah. So, and that's another question we get a lot is like, is hardcore going to be in Diablo 4? And yes, it will be. So that's when you would question the idea of wanting to try to conquer a stronghold at a lower level. So,
where's the cow level?
but yeah,
though?
with the and a lot again, this is just a brand new feature for Diablo 4 in itself. So it actually allows you to essentially just continue to add additional content to the game and change the world completely, because the fact that you can actually get new waypoints or a whole new town that you can actually interact with new vendors and so forth from that side is also just completely like game changing from that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the new content that you unlock, it is also kind of like part of the renown system. So you complete a stronghold, and you get side quests and dungeons, and all these things also feed into the renown system. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Kind of
Definitely
completing
PoE
a stronghold
beach
is kinda
vibe.
like
I like it.
Half of the feature, right?
Yeah.
And the other half is all the additional stuff.
Definitely like starting area.
Very cool.
You know,
yeah,
like
Strongholds is sounding awesome. I know, like myself, I played the game. People will be able to play it really soon, but the perks of working at
You heard
Blizzard.
it here first. We play the game.
We play the game. The perks of working at Blizzard. But yeah, it most definitely is a cool feature, and I've had Strongholds completely change like the whole entire map, and just having like even a waypoint closer to wherever you need to go for a dungeon is also really great to have. So. Of course, and Art provided here this footage here of a barbarian kind of going through. And I know this barbarian has got like some legendary type of gear and like some unique
oh
skills.
shit, he
and so
has
forth that
a
are,
barrel
like,
on his
kind of
back that he was
based on
carrying.
here, so trying to show off a little bit of a higher level barbarian for people because the barb's just a ton of fun to play.
Yeah, super fun.
Cool. Well, I know that we kind of went over a little bit about armor systems and the strongholds themselves. We do a lot of the feedback from the last stream is like people were hoping that we spend a little bit more time on Q&A, and we most definitely want to spend some time on Q&A. So we will kind of like jump into some questions. We're also going to take some questions from Twitch chat as well, because I know we have chat available, and we've been pulling some throughout the actual broadcasts themselves. So I know first question that we have, and this is kind of a popular question that we've gotten a lot from a lot of people.
Popular
because they
question?
want to hear more about some of the progression systems and the end game systems that are coming to Diablo 4. And I will say that I can guarantee you that we actually have a lot of progression and end game items that we do want to talk about, and it's going to come shortly after beta. We actually even have a live stream that we are going to be planning after beta that we're going to be dedicating on those specific topics. Because there's a ton to kind of go over that. So you guys are going to see a ton of videos and a live stream and so forth.
Of course there's
dedicated
an
to all
end game,
those,
bro.
Specific
This is a
pieces,
Diablo
'cause
game.
It is probably one of the big things that everyone's asking about like, hey, how can I progress my character, or how can I continue playing, especially through the end game system. So expect that right after beta. It'll be shortly after beta. We're excited to share all that stuff with everyone from that end. Another question that we get is, is there let me see, do we have another question on the lower third? There we go. Is there a limit on the number of people you can see in the open world?
Oh, sure, yeah. So there is a limit of the number of people you'll see at any one time. And it adjusts dynamically depending on the kind of content you're doing, right? We want the exploration of the open world to feel like Diablo, to feel like a desolate place. If you're running around in this harsh world and you're being tasked to do things, or you're trying to defeat evil, but there are 20 other people defeating the same evil at the same time, you really lose that sense of a Diablo experience, right? And so we've been very careful, and we've actually been tuning it throughout the development process, tuning exactly how many people you'll see when you're out exploring an open world area. Art was just talking about Strongholds, and Strongholds and dungeons are completely private experiences, so you'll only see people that you've invited to your party, or if you don't invite anyone, you won't see anyone, right? And then, of course, when you're in public spaces, or when a stronghold becomes a public space, you'll start to see other people there. But you won't see a whole lot of people in those areas because of that sense of exploration and experience there. Now, when you're doing content that benefits from having lots of people at once, like you're doing at Java, you're doing World Boss
itself,
in the beta, or you're doing, an event that the world has events that show up dynamically. If you're doing events like that, you might see
It's gonna be good, man.
more players congregate in that area. And then when you go to a town, that's where you're going to see the most other people. You're going to get to see everyone else's cool gear, and you can form parties. And
This is what I want. I want to be able to
engage
see
in
people's
various
gear
social
and
activities
shit and
with other
inspect
players there.
them.
So our town hubs, if you think about Kyovashad and open beta,
I want to be able to
you'll
see
lots of-
people
you'll feel like a city. There are
like
people
envy
running
what they
around,
have or whatever,
and then head out of the city into, the frozen wasteland. It'll feel like a frozen wasteland.
Nice, awesome, very cool. I know we have a few other questions here that I'm just gonna kind of spit fire out as I kind of see them. One quick question: I know people are asking if you can stream the beta. You most definitely can stream the beta, even early access. There's no restrictions on that. So yes, you can stream the beta. You can watch your favorite streamer as they play through beta. That will all be available specifically from that. And there is a question regarding ultra-wide support regarding Diablo 4.
Oh.
I know we had talked about, well, at least Joe and I have talked about this specifically, that it does, the game does support ultra-wide for the game itself. I think it's like the super ultra wide or something. There might be like.
Yeah, we support up to 3:1.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the rest.
Time to get on the old monitor.
So if you have an ultra wide monitor, you're gonna get to see more of the world. If you have one of the mega super ultra wides, you will see black bars on the side.
Awesome. And then PC controller support. Is there? Can you play on PC and use a controller?
Absolutely. That's the main way that I do it.
Nice.
And fun fact is, it's a really great way.
I also know how to use a mouse.
Yeah. It's a great way
Nice.
of grabbing shots too. If you're like using a camera
it
or
is.
something like that, it gives you a stable hand for sure. Let's see. Is open beta for anyone who may have purchased the base edition? Yes. If you pre-order at all, you get actually access to the early access beta, so you can actually even play the weekend beforehand. And then, of course, open beta is just open for everyone.
Cool.
From that end.
Sorry, I'm not talking a lot. I'm
Diablo
trying to.
4 going to have seasons like 3. So Diablo 4 will have seasons. We're actually going to have more information on the first season of Diablo 4 as we get closer to launch, specifically from on that end. I think we had talked about in the last stream that the first season of Diablo 4 will end up starting a little after launch. So the initial game will launch during like kind of a preseason or so from that end.
That's right. Yeah. We're going to talk a lot more about sort of the scope and breadth of seasons, how expansive they are, as we get a little bit closer here, and we'll be able to talk more specifically about what kinds of stuff are coming to season 1 and our plans to really expand that feature. But the key thing to know is that our ambition here is to make the seasons substantially meatier than we've seen in the past. Like, we really want this to be a live game that's changing with every season, introducing new games.
I like when things are meaty.
And it's something we're putting a lot of work and effort into developing.
There was a question about, because I know we had talked about this when Diablo 4 was originally announced, about runes and rune words and so forth. Question about runes and rune words, are they going to be available in Diablo 4, like right at launch, or is there any plans in the future and so forth in that sense?
Yeah, so, you know, this is one of the really interesting things about developing developing the game and showing it off. Like we've tried as we've developed the game to talk about everything that we're doing as much as possible. And one
It's gonna be later.
effect of that is that because the game is in development, we're experimenting with things, and we're, you know, if you look at some of the shots of the skill tree that we've showed, it's changed dramatically. You know, as we've looked at player feedback from showing it off. That's the great thing about showing stuff off, is we can get feedback from players and make adjustments, right? And that also means that sometimes we'll announce features like rune words, and we'll realize that, like, you know what, this needs more time to get right. And we know, especially with something like rune words,
Rune
that it's
words and
something
set are
that,
going to come later.
players, because it's an existing concept in Diablo, right? Like if we made up a name and said, oh, here's this new system and it's super cool and here's what it does, great, no problem. But if we say, oh, here's this new system and it's rune words, and players say, well, I remember what rune words were, and this is not rune words, then, you know, we need to make sure that we're fulfilling the player expectations there. And so that's something that, you know, we plan to return to in the future.
Cool. Awesome. In
Nice.
the game, are there like achievements and so forth for players to potentially like earn or whatnot? I guess it's almost kind of like we kind of most definitely have some sort of way of being able to track like specific goals or whatnot within the game.
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, there are achievements. There are also a number of challenges that you can do. There are class-based challenges. There are challenges that are associated with particular content. All kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, and some of those challenges unlock even like things like what you guys might, what we talked about even during beta, where just getting to like Kiowa shot, for instance, ended up unlocking like a title or whatnot. So
A title, and when you get to level 20, you get that beta wolf pack
exactly.
with the wolf pup.
Exactly. I know there's a question about like WASD movement. I say it WASD. Some people call it WASD keyboard movement on Diablo 4. People are asking if potentially there was that within D4.
Yeah, so we've tried to extend the... So we don't support WASD movement at launch. Let me be clear on that. But what we have tried to do is really expand the way that you can customize the way you're playing, both for accessibility reasons and also because people just have lots of different ways they want to play Diablo. And we recognize that some folks want to play WASD movement, and it's something we'll continue to look into.
If you have
But
controller
if you
support,
look
you
at
should be
Diablo
able to
4,
map it,
compared
right?
to previous titles, you can do a lot more customization of like what's on your left mouse button. You can, our engineers have put a lot of work into like even things like, do I want to, like if I bind something else to my left mouse button, am I going to like click to move forward? or
That's
can
not what
I-
early
can I
access
move those
means,
bindings around?
Ballador.
So
Early
you
access
have a
is
lot of
early
control
beta
over,
access, not
which
early
skills
access
are
of
in
the
which
game.
slots, and how you want to interact with the game. And of course, with the controller as well.
And I know like this kind of like segues into another question I just saw, I'm going to call out names. RRMXX in Twitch ended up calling out. That's why I'm not calling out names. I'm going to butcher everyone's name. But they were asking about like accessibility options within Diablo 4. And I know we have a team that is like our UI and UX teams have been like super dedicated on making sure that we can hit as many audiences as possible with D4. And we actually are planning on going into like a detailed like summary of all the accessibility options that are going to be incorporated into D4, so that, you know, obviously more players can enjoy and take part in the world of Sanctuary. So it's actually really cool. So we'll be going into more details on that. Party size, a lot of people are asking like how big are parties within D4 specifically?
4 players.
4 players. There you go. Easy going. Let's see. I know we haven't gone into like details about like skins and store. We will before launch.
I have so many things I want to say, but I'm letting
so
him
we'll
talk.
get back to like purchase skins and being available on all characters and stuff. We'll have a whole detailed list on that. And then this is a fun question for you guys. What are your favorite classes, and would you guys plan on maining during launch? Each of you, I guess.
All right, I'll start. I usually say rogue. That's mostly because I think we did such an incredible job in fulfilling the fantasy of having like a hybrid melee ranged class, or I can take like skills that are ranged skills and skills that are melee skills and really use them seamlessly between. That's actually something that we got when we developed the Barbarian. We knew we wanted to have this weapon master that's wielding just lots and lots of different weapons. And so we developed the arsenal system for the Barbarian. And a consequence of that development is that it solved this sort of problem we had with, like, well, do I have, if I'm a ranged class like a rogue that also, part of the fantasy is being a ranged class or a melee class or some mix, and do I have to like go into my inventory and switch to my melee weapons, and how does that work, right? So we were able to use some of that same tech to make it really a fun experience.
Nice.
What about you, Meng?
I'll mostly focus on playing. My first character will be a sorceress because I have that fun memory, like farming Mephisto with.
Yeah, let's
All
go.
those D2 memories.
Yeah, with my lightning static.
He's an OG,
sorcerers.
dude.
And also, I play a lot of sorcerers also in Diablo 3. So I'm always like get like emotional with the fire code and the lightning kind of a fantasy of
Yeah, let's go.
For me, I think it's a tough choice between Rogue. Like Joe said, I really like the kind of like positional requirements and the fast movement pace of playing that character, or Druid. I really like the kind of the hybrid element. I've been having a lot of
Necro?
fun
Come
with
on.
like kind of hybrid werewolf caster builds experimenting.
Let me get on
with
this
that lately,
panel.
So I think that
I'll
might be
represent
that was fun
Necromancer.
release.
Yeah, I think for me, Druid for sure. I've been playing. Druid was when the expansion for D2 came out, I just dropped every character and just only focused on Druid. I've always loved playing that type of class fantasy in any type of game, even like WoW, for instance. I always played Druid. But I will say Rogue is really good. Rogue has
damn
like if you want flashy, Rogue is most definitely super flashy. Like the idea that
No
you even
Rogue?
have skills where you can like
No
literally throw your
Necro?
daggers into someone and then jump to them is like the most flashy thing in the world. So I'm going to end with one last question because I know we've been getting this a lot, and it's regarding trading within Diablo 4.
Oh.
And I think there's like nuances and so forth, but people are asking, is there trading in D4? Because obviously like D3 it was almost non-existent. So yeah, it's people are curious to know how that works in D4.
Yeah, we get this question a lot, and we're continuing to, trading in D4 is less restrictive than it is in D3, but it's by no means wide open trading. And
Okay.
we know that there are lots of players who enjoy the trading, like enjoy the game for the trading experience, and that those players would like to have, as few restrictions on trading as possible. And so we want to support that to the extent that we can, but we also want to protect the core game loop of killing monsters to get loot, right?
I agree with that. I agree.
And so there are some restrictions on trading.
I like restrictions.
To further encourage the situation where the best way to get the most powerful loot is to kill monsters.
I meant in trading,
That's
Chad, in
sort of our
trading.
overriding directive
Don't
there.
clip this out of context.
But when you think about all the stuff that we're doing that we plan to do with seasons and the game being a live service, we could certainly see opportunities for different trading rule sets in the future.
Cool. Awesome. And I'm going to answer this really quickly because everyone's like spamming it. Yes, there are treasure goblins in Diablo.
Oh,
People are like, are there goblins? Are there goblins? Yes,
There
there
are.
are treasure goblins in Diablo 4. So
Really, Dave? Oh
thank you guys
no!
for
Don't do
joining
this
us
to me.
today on the Diablo 4 live stream.